You might be wondering why anyone would want to listen to a 25-year-old dropout, and I don't have a good answer, but there are a few things on my mind that I feel like I'd like to share with the world. Observations and truths from my life that I found through personal anecdotal experiences. One of the most important life lessons I found is that life truly does come from your mind, right? And by being able to fortify your mind, you can allow yourself to really live the life that you want. For example, when I dropped out of college 5 years ago, I wasn't sure how I was going to get there, but I knew that I wanted to live in New York in a nice apartment and just be able to experience the city life. Back where I was from in Michigan, it was completely the opposite of New York. Life was quite slow and honestly mundane and boring. But now, 5 years later, after I dropped out and did what I said I was going to do, I lived literally the life that I was manifesting, if you want to call it that. 5 years ago, when I was 21 years old, and the reason why I dropped out is because I just didn't really understand college. While I was pushed to go to the college direction that my Asian parents wanted, it just never made sense to me how college is so expensive and the opportunity cost of taking 4+ years out of your life to pursue college when what you get in return is that really only top 10 to 15% of people utilize college in a way where it becomes plus EV. And that's obviously really hard to quantify, but the time cost mainly is the most expensive one, in my opinion. If we just look at the numbers, right, only 10 to 15 people roughly graduate college and actually make the money back that they spent in college and more. The rest of the 85% never recuperate back the EV that they spent in college. And this never made sense to me, right? Yet everyone somehow in American society blindly believes it, and a lot of people still do. To this day, I still don't get it. I understand why we humans do it. It's because we humans are conformists, and when you're born in American society, you push this narrative at a very young age, right? And so when you grow up in American society as an American, this is all you know, and this is all you think is the right way. But in reality, if you take a look at the school system and where it's adopted from, our American school system is adopted from the Prussian school system. And the Prussian school system was designed to allow the Prussian school system almost is in a sense of like slavery, right? It's designed to keep humans conformed and obedient. And this is not really the thing that you think about when you're growing up. You just think, oh, everyone's going to school, so I should go to school. But in reality, these are not your organic thoughts. These are thoughts pushed to you by your parents and pushed to you by society. For me, as an Asian American, this was pushed harder onto me than probably any other race just because of the culture of Asians, right? Like from a young age, Asian Americans are taught to prestige whore. We are taught to go to Harvard. And what you'll find out is once I grow older is that these people, like these Asians who go to Harvard, right? Like why did they go to Harvard? Why were they so competitive? And why are Asian Americans so competitive at top schools? It's because these guys are starting to be competitive to get into Harvard at around 2 to 3 years old, right? They start learning piano and math at an extremely young age, and there's no way that's a very organic thing to do. That is basically their parents programming them down this route. I think it's just kind of foolish because what happens is if you, as I grew up and like visited some of my friends, they get MITs or Harvard, these kids go absolutely feral. Like it's kind of insane. Like these obedient Chinese kids, they work hard their whole life, and then freshman year of college comes and they turn into absolute animals. And it's just like it was just like funny to me because it means what it basically means is that they were living a life for the past 18 years that wasn't even really their own idea, right? Because they finally achieve the status and are allowed to do what they want to do, and now at 18, 19 years old, they're finally figuring out parts of their identity that they had to suppress because all their life they were just told to go to MIT, go to Harvard, go to these top schools, right? And it's very sad to see that they basically lived 18 years of a lie. Actually, the rest of their life as a lie, if they continue to go on this path. Not saying, maybe some of them genuinely wanted to go to Harvard, but I think it's quite delusional to think that all these Asian Americans, these are just organic, natural wishes that they wanted. And that's just because the Asian American culture pushes prestige whoring so hard, pushes, when you go to family gatherings, your Asian mom will compare each other's sons and kids. Like, look, that guy's a doctor, that guy's went to Harvard. And I never wanted to participate in any of that. I think it's completely ridiculous. And I think it's extremely toxic. And that's why I think Asian Americans struggle so hard mentally is because we are raised in a quite toxic culture. And so I guess what I'm trying to say in this video is that if you're a young kid out there and you're trying to form your own opinions on the world, Really, the only truth that matters is the truth that you've lived, your personal anecdotal experiences, because that generally is the truth, right? What you'll realize is that people telling you, oh, this is how the world works, or this is the truth, it's not necessarily true, right? That's not necessarily the world that you lived in. You have your own truths. The person who can speak the most truthfully about your life is only going to be you because you're the only person who's lived through all your experiences, right? No one else. And what I realized that most of the things that we were taught growing up in school, education, SAT, ACT scores, they never matter once you're like 25-year old. No one is asking you about your ACT score when you're 25. Trust me. No one even like remembers that. Like we just like forget about it, right? So the food pyramid is obviously a lie, right? America food has to be one of the worst, if not the worst, like food in the entire world, right? Why do we have such an obesity problem? And these are things like people don't really talk about. But what you have to really figure out, what you have to realize if you do follow my channel is that you have to figure out your own truths and genuine truths, not what your mom told you or your dad told you or your friend told you or even your Harvard professor told you, right? It's what you've personally experienced and seen for yourself because that genuinely is the truth. And I also wanted to touch on like I don't really agree with labels. I'm a college dropout making videos, right? I've not the richest 25-year-old, but I generally think I'm like in the top percentile, and I've done it all without a college degree, without any of that. And I just I'm living proof that this is I was able to afford this lifestyle without any degree. So like my life is not a lie, right? You can see the view. This is not a this how is this a lie, right? What I'm trying to say is that the thing I believe in is your character and your capabilities. Those are the only thing that matter, right? You can have a degree and be totally worthless. Like, there's a bunch of those like rich kids who have a degree and never tried in school, paid someone to do their homework for them or take their tests, right? It's very common in New York, especially among the international circles. You just pay someone to do your homework and you just fuck off your time, right? That's very common, right? And you can also not have a degree and just be like a total crusher in life, right? Right? If you look at the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, if you look at the Roy Lees of the world, these dropouts have no traditional degree and they just said, fuck that. They're just super capable. And these guys tend to like, it's funny, like the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, they tend to get invited back. Like I'm sure Roy Lee down his, he keeps going down in the future. He'll probably get fucking invited back to Columbia to speak at like the place he like got expelled from. That'd be hilarious, honestly, if he got, if like 5 years down the line, he like does a commencement speech at Columbia. And if that happens, like what's the truth here, is right? It's like, you don't need a degree or anything. Like, don't listen to society. Listen to what your gut instinct tells you, and that could mean getting a degree. That could mean not getting a degree, right? But listen to your gut, right? Because your gut is based off your personal anecdotal world experiences. And yeah, I'm just trying to be real on this channel. I'm just trying to genuinely explain the world view in a way that has been truthful to me. And it could not make sense to you, and you could not agree with everything I say, but I'd like to think that I genuinely believe in what I'm saying, and these are real experiences that have happened to me, and everything that comes out of my mouth in this channel hopefully will provide value, and at minimum just provide another perspective or insight on life. If this message resonates with you, I hope you follow along. Thank you so much.